Hello and welcome to Patron Saints of Pop Culture Podcast. As always, I am your co-saint, Miguel Covarrubias.
And I am Kathy Covarrubias. And today, let's talk about A Wrinkle in Time, the movie.
Spoiler alert, if you have not yet gone to see the movie, it has been out for about a month now. We just tried to take our toddler son to go see that this morning.
It wasn't too bad.
It wasn't too bad. It was, he's not ready for movies yet.
No, well, I think it would have been better if it was an animated thing that we took him to. I think he would have been...
Yeah.
Or the Wiggles.
Oh my goodness. I think they encourage wiggling at Wiggles concerts. So, let's jump into our review and summary. First the summary, which would be that a famous NASA scientist goes missing for 4 years, and his children are tasked with finding him out in the universe.
All right. Okay. My summary. So, Meg is getting a little sad because she doesn't feel like she's cool and stuff, and kids make fun of her. She also feels sad because her dad's been missing for 4 years. And then this kooky lady shows up at her house and takes her on these adventures. And then she finds her dad, and everything's good.
Okay. For my review, I would have to say that it was by far the best book adaptation that I have seen in the last few years. It's way better than Dark Tower. It's way better than Ready Player One. If you want to hear what I have to say about Ready Player One, we have a review podcast which just came out this last week about Ready Player One. Which will be a Patreon exclusive, and so you can actually go and listen for free to our first episode of that, which is just me rambling on about Ready Player One for about 20 minutes about what went wrong with Ready Player One. I know that a lot of people liked the movie. I was not a fan. I was more a fan of the book than I was the movie. But this movie I felt was really good. I felt like it hit its target demographic. I think that it had enough in there to keep older audiences engaged and really kind of focused on the movie. The visuals were great, and you also had I think the director did a wonderful job of adapting the book to the screen. I am a huge fan of Madeleine L'Engle's, and I love the story. It was one of my favorite books growing up, and I love the movie.
I did not love the movie. When I'm done watching a movie or a TV show, I really want to have that feeling of satisfaction, of like something, I've learned something, or something shocked me, or something, I don't know, like different came into my head. And that wasn't the case for this. I was just like, I did not learn anything new that I didn't already know. And I know it's meant for kids, but just as an adult who has never read the books, watching it was a little boring. I mean, beautiful. It was beautiful. Like, I do have to give her that. Like, the visuals were stunning. But that was about it.
Okay. So, I really want to talk about one of the main themes that I think is there throughout the movie. I know that the director did a pretty thorough job of removing the religious aspects of Madeleine L'Engle's work here, and it's to reach out to more audiences rather than just the Christian audience, where Madeleine L'Engle was a Episcopalian author, and so a lot of her thoughts on religion and everything kind of seeped into her work. And so this is one of the main themes that I think did seep into her work that is not really divorced from the writing, because it is essential to not just Christian religion, but also to a lot of the major world religions. Essentially is part of the message that Jesus had, which was the kingdom is inside of you. The kingdom is here. The kingdom is now. And this is something that Jesus went on to talk about throughout his life, throughout his ministry, and it was essential to his teachings was that there was nothing that you needed to do to earn God's favor, that you already had it, that just as you are, that you are, flaws and all, loved and welcomed exactly who you are and where you are. And the reason why I bring up Jesus in this is because I think this is essential to the entire movie, in that this is what the Father is trying to bring about with the Tesseract, is that with our mind we can unlock the universe, that the universe is inside of us, like quantum entanglement, as they were trying to convey to the rest of the NASA scientists in that talk there. But it's also in Meg learning to come to terms with herself. Is that there's that scene with Zach Galifianakis, which does kind of take you out of the movie a little bit, because it is Zach Galifianakis and he is a weird guy in a cave somewhere. So, which is why I think I was the only one in the theater that laughed at that line.
Well, to be fair, there was only 3 families, us and 2 others.
Yeah,
so.
But I mean, he kind of is a weird guy in a cave somewhere. So
yeah.
It was a line kind of digging at himself, which I thought I appreciated. So, anyway, his line was that there is so much that came into play to make sure that you were here, that you are a part of this universe. And I know that's just a way of looking at the universe, that yes, that something has meaning, and in a universe that really has no meaning whatsoever. But the truth is, if you look at the math of it all, the statistics of it all, that everything kind of had to come into play to have you here, to have you breathing the air, to have you have life, to have you and exactly who and what you are in the time that you're in. And, I mean, this is something that, I go into a little bit more depth in the, time travel novel that I'm writing. But, this is something that, it really, when it boils it down to it, that there are a lot of things that had to come into play to make sure that you existed. Mm-hmm. And not just you, but the choices that you've made up to this point, and just everything that makes you you. A lot went into that. And you can see that as, well, yeah, that's the same with everybody, and that doesn't mean I'm unique. No, it doesn't mean you're unique, but it means that you are you, that you are worth something, that you are the whole of creation in itself, that you are part of the universe, and that makes you so much bigger. That makes you the universe itself too. And no, the universe doesn't revolve around you, but you are the universe, that mm-hmm. what you do matters, that everything you do matters. And that if you do something that hurts somebody, that it hurts you too. If you do something to help somebody, it helps you too. And I think this is the main theme that the director was really playing with, that did come from the book. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep ranting on that, because if you go and listen to my review of Ready Player One, is that he completely rewrote the story of the book, that the plot is completely different, that the main theme of Ready Player One movie is completely different than the theme of the book, which here she kept the themes in the book. The main theme of the book is the self-acceptance, is the coming to terms with who and what you are, because you are part of the universe, and that is something. That we are part of this grand ecosystem of this planet Earth, and that what you do here in this planet matters. Your carbon footprint matters because you are part of this universe, mm-hmm. that your place in the ecosystem matters. The things that you do to hurt or help matters to the entire thing, the entire system. And I think this is something that I wrote about this past week in my blog post. So here's plugging my blog as well. You can go check it out. But I saw this week that somebody had posted a Tumblr, one of those Tumblr posts that people post on Facebook and Twitter and whatever. But that somebody wrote, what about those time travel novels that, they're so concerned with all these little things changing the timeline in the past. If you go back and step on a butterfly and with the chaos theory or whatever, and nobody really concerns themselves with the changes that they make today in the present.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that every single little thing that you do matters. And this is something why I felt the need to talk about it in terms of Jesus, in terms of Easter, especially because today is Easter.
It is?
But that this is something that the church really fails to do, that they really fail to realize that every single little thing that they do matters. And I think this still has a lot to do with the rise of Western philosophy within the religion itself, in saying that we are in need of salvation from ourselves, that we are inherently bad or evil, that we needed Jesus to come and save us, as if we were the damsel in distress. And the truth of the matter was that Jesus' message was, no, you're not a damsel in distress, that you are worthy, that you are perfect, that you are loved just exactly the way that you are. And that's why you should take into consideration the fact that every single little thing that you do matters. Mm-hmm. It's because that you are loved and you are worthy, and that every single little thing that makes you is worthwhile and worthy of everything that's around you. And I think that's why I love this movie, is because it was very true to the message of what Madeleine L'Engle wrote, but also to the message of Jesus itself, that you are worthy, that you, flaws and all, are worthy of everything that you do. Yeah.
And along with that, I mean, it's hard to embrace your flaws. Like, we all know we have them. We all know everybody else has them, clearly, because everybody likes to point out the flaws in other people. But another, key point, they said it over and over again in the movie, I bless you with your flaws. I give you the gift of your flaws. And it's like, wait, what? My flaws? How are my flaws going to help me? Flaws are supposed to be this bad, terrible thing. But they don't have to be. And it also brings up this question, so why do we feel the need to fix ourselves of our flaws?
Exactly. That's the whole message that I think it's conveying, is that your flaws are what make you you.
Yeah,
that
definitely.
You are exactly you.
Yep, your flaws make you unique. And I know that everybody, or there's this big thing out there that we need to stop looking at ourselves as, unique little snowflakes, and we are super, super special and all that other stuff. I get that sentiment. But I also believe that it is important for people individually to understand why, like you were saying, that you are important. Mm-hmm. And I do think that embracing your unique flaws is one of those keys to that. Not only your strengths, but also what makes you, not the most stellar, star-worthy person in the world. And our flaws are what you said earlier. They help build character. They help make you the actual living human being, adult person that you are eventually going to be, because we have to take our flaws and kind of work with them. If we can't fix them fully, figure out what we got to do in order to make them not interfere with our goals.
Well, and I think that's the point of fitting into a community or fitting into a society, is that when your flaws go to hurt other people, that there are people who have strengths can, teach you mm-hmm. to help some of those flaws. And there are some things that you can rid yourself of. Yep. And, it's not something that you shouldn't rid yourself of it because it's what makes you you, but it's more on the lines of, you should rid yourself of it because you want to, because you know that it does harm you, or it does make, your life or somebody else's life worse.
Yep. And we also need to keep in mind, too, that some things that we may think of as flaws, really are not flaws. Like, it's just a society, like, idea of what is a flaw. For example, strong-willed women are often seen as being flawed because, you know, how dare a woman have her own opinion? How dare she speak up to give a voice to something that needs to have a voice? Like, how dare she stand up and be her own person?
This is something else that I really liked about the movie was that it didn't make a point of pointing out that it was using non-stereotypical gender norms, which are gender and racial norms within the movie. And, you know, well, with the mother and father being a mixed gender couple, mixed racial couple, mixed race couple, and with them being with the mother also being the straight analytical mind, whereas most often you see that in male role within movies or within Hollywood.
Yep.
You also see this with the misses that they're these powerful beings in the universe, and they're women, and they're warriors. They're warriors. They're from, you know, Madeleine L'Engle's books. That, you know, she did a fantastic job of portraying very strong women in literature.
Yeah.
Which, again, this is something else that you can hear on my review of Ready Player One. He damseled a strong female character. But
oh, that makes me a little upset. I'm kind of glad I didn't watch it now. But, well, one thing too that like made her, we're talking about like, you know, gender norms. She is very stubborn. Like, she is very, very stubborn and didn't want to, I don't know, open up her mind and think of the possibilities. Like, she was very hard set in her ways. I'm talking about Meg. And that being stubborn is seen as being a good thing in most situations if you are male, but a bad thing if you are female. Mm-hmm. I think part of that reason is because it's just how society has made us to be. Like, women are supposed to be more submissive, so they can't be stubborn, because if they're stubborn, they're not going to be as submissive. Right?
Yeah.
And then with guys, with, you know, the male side of things, and of course, you know, sorry, we're only talking about, you know, a very binary conversation here, just because historically that's been our human history for the most part. So I wanted to make that clear. I'm not trying to exclude anybody on purpose. This is just, you know, very, very society norm type deal.
Exactly.
And
we've just had this concept of beginning to broaden our ideas of gender norms and gender I would say gender pronouns, I guess. Well, beginning to think of in terms of less binary.
Yeah.
That we're starting to see things in shades of gray rather than black or white.
Yep, exactly. But because of when this book was written, of course, like, it was before, I mean, there was a little bit of it happening.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as upfront in the social movement as it is today. Mm-hmm. And, anyway, back to her stubbornness. I have actually, you know, I'll do a little bit of a confession here. So I am stubborn. What? I know. Most people aren't gonna It's true though. Like, I am.
I'm not saying anything.
I am stubborn. It is a trait that is very strong in my family. Everybody is very stubborn. Everybody. Like, male, female, doesn't matter. You're stubborn.
Here to plug another one of our things is you could tell if you watch our playthrough of Divinity Original Sin.
Yes, yeah. I try not to be so stubborn when I'm out in public and dealing with strangers. I'm not nearly as stubborn as dealing with people who are really close within my social circles. Would you say? I would say that. Like, I tend to give strangers the benefit of the doubt, whereas my friends and family, if I don't agree with them or if I don't want to do something, I just Nope. Like, I just flat out say my mind. I also wanted to mention how, you know, in the book, with her being told that her flaws are actually part of her strengths, that reminds me of when you are writing a resume or like preparing for an interview. I don't think they say it as much anymore, but a while back, it was very common for interviewers to ask the interviewees, now, what are your weaknesses? AKA, what are your flaws? And it was kind of like one of those trick questions. When they first came out, of course, people are like shocked, like, oh my gosh, like I have to tell you like my weaknesses, I have to tell you my flaws. But then, of course, you know, once it was out there for a couple of years, you know, those job coaching people were able to tell people exactly what they needed to say. And so the best case scenario, what you were coached on to say is like, yes, give weaknesses, but also give them in a way that makes them not seem to be a weakness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, for one thing, I always work late. Like, which affects my family life, which clearly is a weakness. But according to a, you know, person who you're trying to interview for in terms of jobs, they're going to be like, oh, you work late? You must be a hard worker. So that's kind of what I mean. Like, it clearly is a weakness, especially since you need to have a good work-life balance. All y'all who are listening, it's very important.
Care about my customers too much.
Yep, I go home and I cry over my customers. Yeah, so that kind of stuff. But we really need to kind of, I think it is beneficial for us to kind of acknowledge and look at our flaws and kind of point to the strengths in them realistically. I wanted to point that out because clearly in those job interviews, they're not really weaknesses or flaws. So for me, one of my other flaws, besides being super stubborn, which can be a good thing because being stubborn, I'm able to, in some circumstances, tell my point across very clean and to the point, which is good. Other times it's not so much. But my other flaw that I have is, along with being super stubborn, I am also a very strong empath. And I want to explain why this is weakness, because a lot of people are like, well, that's actually a strength. Like, that's a good thing. And it is a good thing. But I get to the point to where I am such an empath that when people, like when customers call in and tell me there was a death in the family or tell me that they're having a really, really hard time in their life, like, I have to give myself, after I'm done helping them, I have to give myself a few minutes after I talk to them, just a time to myself, because I got to recollect myself, because chances are I'm crying. And that isn't necessarily a good thing, because I let stories from other people's lives affect me a little bit too much, is what I'm getting at. But it's also a good thing, because then like customers that I speak with, or even my friends, like they know that what I'm feeling, like when I'm crying with them, it's real tears for them. Like, I'm not putting on a show. Like, I'm legit upset that they are upset. I'm even like starting to tear up a little bit thinking of people being upset. It's true. Another one of my flaws that you actually kind of help point out a little bit, is that I put other people first in a lot of aspects of my life. And I find, even though I acknowledge that's a flaw, because a lot of times I don't end up taking care of myself, I tend to push aside my feelings, or I push stuff to deal with later because I want to help other people at the time, which is good for the other people. But you pointed out to me that you would argue that it's not a strength at all, that actually is a hindrance.
Yes, it's a flaw in that taking care of yourself is helping other people. Mm-hmm. It is, well, like I said earlier, with that coming to terms with yourself, that you are part of the universe, you are part of the ecosystem, that what hurts others hurts you, but it also the reverse. If it hurts you, it's also hurting others.
Yeah.
If it helps you, it helps others.
Yep.
Because you can't take care of other people if you're so completely injured you can't take care of yourself.
Yep. And that's why I have decided that I have colored the underneath part of my hair purple. And I am going to dedicate the time that I need in order to maintain it. And if, for those folks who've ever colored their hair a non-natural color, or even like red, because red is a hard color to maintain, it's a pain and a little behind. Like, you have to be careful what kind of shampoo you use. You have to be careful about the kind of conditioner. You can't wash it as much as you used to. You can't do certain things. Like, I'll wear my hair down when it's sunny outside, so then it covers up the purple, so the purple lasts longer. So, I mean, it's a time draining ordeal, but when I am recoloring my hair, or when I am putting on the color mask to like rehelp the color, or like keep the color locked in, like I listen to my podcasts, or I will let myself daydream, for goodness sake. When was the last time as adults we let ourselves like do menial tasks and daydream? I mean, maybe you can do that depending on your job, but for me, I can't, because I'm constantly like interacting with other people. I can't allow myself to daydream. So, let's bring back daydreaming, I guess. What about you? Do you think that you have any flaws that are strengths, or strengths that are flaws, or? I mean, obviously you're a person, so a person has those things, but.
Well, my anxiety for one. And I mean, I think that the anxiety is both a flaw and a strength, because it sucks that I have to worry about things all the time. That I can never stop worrying about things. And that's, a flaw. But it's also a strength because it makes me be better. It makes me want to be better than how I was. Then to make sure that I work on myself, to make sure that I do the things that make me good. Like the fact that I'm releasing my second book today. I'm publicizing my second book today, and
we're a lot of plugs today.
Oh, I know.
Sorry.
But I never do this, so I never publicize myself. But and the thing is, as soon as I release it, I know that it's going to be out there with flaws. I know that I went through and I did edit it. I did grammatically edit it and stuff like this, but I know that I didn't catch everything, because, you really can't when you're so close to something that you have it worded the way that you want to have it worded. But, that makes it hard for you to separate yourself from your work.
Yep.
And so, there's that. There's also my introvertedness that, if I could be a weird guy in a cave and a beard somewhere, that I would be.
Hey, you're halfway there.
Yeah. I just need a cave. So, for me, it's hard because I want to have the deep conversations, but I also don't want to I don't necessarily like the small talk that it takes to be friends with somebody. Because that, like, other people out there, they want to talk about small things. They want to talk about the weather. They want to talk about, well, whatever. But me, I'm the one who wants to talk about the deep underlying themes of a movie, the principles that you can pull out from the parable of a movie. And so that's why I have this podcast, is because I want to talk about these things. These are things that bring life to me. And so I guess that is a strength in that I pull out these deeper things, and, if it brings life to somebody else to hear me talk about whatever it is, then great. That is a strength. Mm-hmm. I'm part of the ecosystem somewhere. So.
Your cave ecosystem.
My cave ecosystem. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what else to add to that besides, maybe take some time out of your day and really like analyze maybe just one flaw. Don't go too crazy. Like, we don't want to make yourself feel bad about yourself. Just pick about a flaw that you already know about and kind of think about how that actually might be helping you, or if it really is not helping you. Like, if it really is hindering your ability to grow as a person and hindering your relationships around you, like, what can you do about that flaw to make things easier on you and the people around you, make things better?
Yeah. All right, so the principles that we pulled out from this parable of A Wrinkle in Time would be the universe inside. We did talk about how you are part of the universe, that you are, that what helps you helps others, and what helps others helps you, and what hurts others hurts you as well. And we also talked about embracing your flaws and how that ties into it all. So in closing, here's what we've got coming up with our feedback schedule. I've got 4 weeks here planned out, so lucky you. We are actually going to be doing a few things here in this month. We do have a lot of things that are being released this month, but none of them actually going to be finishing this month. So, like Handmaid's Tale Season 2, we will not probably get to that until it's finished in June sometime, I believe. Legion is also going to be starting here soon, but we will not be finishing that until June sometime.
Yep.
Westworld Season 2 is also going to be starting soon, and
I'm shaking my head vigorously over
we are not going to be getting to the end of that soon. So those are things that we will be coming up here later this year, but as of right now, they're not coming up anytime soon. So this next week we are doing Series of Unfortunate Events.
Season 2.
Black Mirror Crocodile. I know that it's been a running joke for having that in there, but we are actually going to get to that in 2 weeks because there's nothing else going to be in that slot. We have Lost in Space, the Netflix series, the reboot, as it were. So we're going to be talking about that. And then Avengers Infinity War.
Woo, woo.
In fact, we've actually put aside a day where we're going to both be off so that we can actually go and watch it while our son is at daycare.
Yeah, we're going to have a date day.
So with all of those coming up, and with any of our previous episodes, if you have something to say to us to be a part of that conversation, please be a part of that conversation. You can find us, you can send us a voicemail or send us a text at 720-372-3879. You can also find us on social media. We are on Facebook, on Twitter, on Tumblr, on Reddit. You can find us pretty much almost any social media platform, and just send us a note. You can also find us on Patreon, where we will start to begin to release some of our reviews, which we'll be calling Blessings and Curses. Again, we have one episode of that out. You can go check that out on Spreaker. We also have that on Apple Podcasts. That's also going to be in the same normal places. You can also find that a link to that on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Real Honest Faith. So, let's see. Oh, yes. Book is coming out today. This is the modern adaptation of the Gospel of Luke. Called The Story of Esperanza Reyes. And so if you've ever wondered about what Jesus would be like in modern days, that's kind of what I thought about and wondered about in this book. So if it sounds like something interesting to you, go check it out. Again, you can just use it to kindle a fire or to throw at people or to prop up a table.
And this is not an April Fool's joke, everybody. Just want to make this clear. Nothing in this episode has been an April Fool's joke.
Yes. So, let's see. What else do we have going on? Oh, yeah. Our playthrough of Divinity Original Sin is up on YouTube. We have 6 parts up on YouTube, I believe. We missed parts 2 and 3 because those got deleted from Twitch before I uploaded them to wherever we were going to be uploading them to. But they're now on YouTube, so you can go watch us play through Divinity Original Sin, which yes, it might be comical for you to see us play through that in raw form. And so, with all of that being said, we invite you to come and join the conversation.
Bye!